Welcome back to the show that has got your morning covered. We have Nicholas Mudimba ready for us on set. And Nicholas, since former President Kibaki left office, we rarely see him, but it was nice to see him over the weekend.
Absolutely. He's a passionate golf player and of course a patron of the Kenyan golf union. It was a big thing for him to be there, and I'm very sure his consistency is actually the most important thing.
Most important thing. So take us through all the sporting activities.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Karibu sana.
All right. Today in the morning, we are going to discuss all about golf, and I'm joined by the Kenya Golf Union Chairman, Mr. Francis Okwara. We'll be touching base and keeping us to speed on what happened. Of course, it will be something that many of us have expected, that Kenyans will actually shine in one of the major tournaments in the country. But Mr. Francis Okwara, welcome to Morning Express.
Thank you very much, Nicholas.
Yes, Francis Okwara is the chairman of Kenya Golf Union. Now, Mr. Francis, we have lessons learned. We have, of course, the positives, the negatives in terms of the play, where we had our Kenyans finishing, one of them finishing in the top 10 and the other one on 13th. What are the lessons learned after this tournament?
Well, most importantly, it's the consistency, the practice. We have Greg Snow, who's been around the world and on some of the European tour events, and he's now come of age, and he can sustain his game, and so obviously we'll be seeing a lot of Greg in the coming few months.
All right, we saw the likes of Indiza also.
Indiza has also been done a few trips to South Africa on the Sunshine Tour. He's gone to Nigeria, so he's also moving out, because playing golf locally alone cannot really get you to that level, because you've got to be competitive.
Talking about Sunshine Tour, exposure to our players, we have Greg Snow. I'm very sure he's heading to Morocco next week. Of course, Indiza, who has been, of course, on and off the country. Do you think the exposure to these players will actually boost them? Because we see most of our amateurs only play golf. They get opportunity to play this golf during the Pro-Am. That's when they meet the stars. Now, that's why we have phobia, we have optimism, we have the thing that the future, the golf future, actually, it's told there. Do you think exposure for these amateurs, do you think it's important for us? Because most of them are based in the country, play tournaments in the country, but not much exposure.
No, for the amateurs, it's a whole different story, because the amateurs, we take them out. We have 3 tournaments in the year. That is the Zone 6 Challenge, the African Championship, and the East African Challenge. Now, all those are, out of the country and against other foreign players, who have different levels of exposure. So our boys are now able to meet up to the challenge. They're playing at good levels. In South Swaziland the other day, we came in 5th position, an indication that our boys are moving up there.
Okay. Now, sorry, in terms of the age group, whereby now mostly there's a notion that golf is for the upmarket, people who are well off. There's such a talk in town, a lot of such talk in town, but do you think golf is only for those people who are able out there, or do you think the likes of Daniel Nduva is only 18 years old but took part, the youngest Kenyan to take part in this tournament? Do you think progression of such players will actually bear fruit for us, and the notion that golf is only for the upmarket? What do you think of that?
We've demystified golf, and golf is not for the upmarket. Golf is for the sportsmen who like golf. Just like any other sports, if your preference is to golf, you will play it. People say that clubs are expensive. What is expensive? No. Clubs, can cost as little as 5,000 for beginner sets, moving upwards. Secondly, we're getting public golf courses done. And Kasarani is our next project, where we want to get a public golf course so that people can easily just walk there, pay a small fee and play their golf.
the problem is before joining a club, that's the problem where now the registration fee or that process, it's been an uphill task for many. Let me say the normal mwananchi out there coming and parting with like 20,000 shillings for registration only. Now he or she doesn't even know the sport, but now parting with 20,000 for registration and then coming again to start like now getting conversant in the sport. Do you think if these clubs can maybe reduce the prices or the registration fee for these players who are passionate about golf but they can't afford it, but instead for them to play golf they have to be registered with one of the clubs?
I'm very afraid to talk about membership clubs because it has more to do with members than anything else. And membership is determined by the demand for for people to join those clubs.
All right.
So until the demand has suddenly gone up, until it comes back down again, the prices again will not necessarily be favorable. But so long as we have public golf courses, because people do like trying out new golf courses every day.
Yeah. Going back to Nduva, he was the youngest player in that actually the series, and from on Thursday he did well, but things happened a little bit rough for him on Friday and Saturday. Yesterday the president said they have a program whereby now the youths of the schools in Kenya will be introduced to golf. What do you think about that? Because it's something that for sure it's going to change the perception of golf in this country. And Nduva, being the 18-year-old, the youngest player actually in the tournament, he actually demystified all the perceptions of you can only make it when you have it. Do you think the program the government is starting will actually bear fruit?
In fact, we are very delighted for what Daniel Nduva did, because as a 19-year-old, he's come of age, but we now have learnings from the Kenya Open. He needs a coach. He needs to practice consistently.
Which I'm very sure maintenance of a coach is also expensive.
It's expensive, but we do have support from the Royal and Ancient, who support us to make sure that as a developing golf nation, we're able to take care of all this. And as such, we encourage Nduva. What's most important for us, we have the Junior Golf Foundation, which follows up with this program, and he is a product of the Junior Golf Foundation. We also have the Rose Naliaka Foundation,
Absolutely.
which is also promoting the girl golfers. So ideally, as we push towards this, we're going to make golf accessible to all schools, so that if we have children who are interested, then they are going to be able to play the game of golf.
Let's not leave the players. Let's talk infrastructure in terms of our courses. We have very many golf clubs around here in the country, but a major complaint by top golfers, even our own golfers here, the likes of Indiza and Greg Snowy. I had a session with them yesterday, and they really complained about our greens. They were so hard. Maintaining the speed was not so easy for them. Even the champion, Jack Ruse, said, oh my goodness, it was so dry for him. He had to use different tactic. I know for a player you have to be flexible, but what's done to these courses? Because sometimes it blows hot and cold. Muthaiga, sometimes it's soft. Current, sometimes it's a totally different ground. What do you think about maintenance of these courses? Is it expensive or something? Because yesterday and from on Thursday, it wasn't that easy for many of them.
In fact, I'll tell you one thing for free. We were utterly shocked. We thought somebody would finish with -20 or something, because they made it more playable for the players. However, as the days went by, it looked like it was a little more difficult for the players. The greens had to be firm. When you're coming into competitions, they don't give you conditions where you want to score easy. You must play the course as it is. And what they did, they normally, before competitions, they tend to deny the greens a lot of water. And what happens? They firm up, they're almost like glass. You touch your ball and it goes.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. It was one of the major concerns. Why were the greens so hard to play on? Is it a tactic? Is it something that makes the players stronger? Or is it something that maybe KGU, you know very well, it might be on the negative side of the play?
On the contrary, it brought out the best of the players. Because if you can't play those greens, I remember in this on number 18, that number 18 we're going to have to, do something about it. Because in this suffered quite a lot on the number 18. He putted 3-4 times, and yeah, those are many shots to lose on just one green.
It's true.
Especially at his level. But the clubs are looking after the greens adequately. Our Barclays Kenya Open tournament in Karen for this year was fantastic. The course was in great shape. It was totally pristine. Something that would like to see all the time.
Now, Mr. Chairman, we're sure about women in golf who are also actually trying their best. Cabinet Secretary Phyllis Kandie is one of the players, and from our confession yesterday, there's no consistency in women in golf. What do you think about that?
There is the Rose Naliaka Foundation and the Junior Golf Foundation. The Junior Golf Foundation and the Rose Naliaka Foundation bring kids from ground zero. From a very early age, you can start playing a golf. And that's what they're developing. They'll be able to develop these children to be at zero handicap by the time they're 14, 15. And then now, in a few years after additional coaching, probably turn professional at young ages, because that's the only way you can become a world champion, by starting early and progressing your game as you move along.
Absolutely. Now, something about our Kenyan players. We've seen potential, most of them. We've seen Nduva, we've seen Greg Snow. Indiza, very consistent, and of course, making the cut, and of course, giving the big boys a hard time in the course. What's the way forward? Because we still have hope that one day a Kenyan will come and take over Kenya Open, because all these guys come from outside, the beaters here, and we have potential. Now, these programs coming from the government, do you think one day a Kenyan will actually just come up and scoop everything? Because at a point yesterday, Greg Snow was leading, number 1, but I don't know what happened. According to him, the course, the greens, he confused. I don't know what happens, but do you think a Kenyan will come and take over one day?
Firstly, a professional cannot complain about the course. That's why you're a professional. You can't go into your office and start complaining, there's nothing right for you. That is like the office for the professionals.
It's true that.
Now, in as far as we go, we had actually hoped that Greg would keep, his tempo up and would be able to win the Kenya Open yesterday. Because for a lot of the kids, what do they look up to? They look up to Big Brother,
True that.
who has done this before.
True that.
And in Kenya, until we have somebody, winning the Kenya Open, the kids will now start looking at, the foreigners overseas who will, who won't add a lot of value to us. But if it's a local winning the Kenya Open, then it is definitely going to help the game of golf itself.
Yeah.
But we do foresee in the very near future, at least one of these kids who've been developed from the Junior Golf Foundation, like Greg Snow, Stefan Anderson, the Daniel Nduvas, Mohit Medirata.
Yeah.
One of these boys is definitely going to come up
and
take the Kenya Open.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman Francis Okwara, for joining us today. I'm sure you're an Arsenal fan like James Matt.
Well, if you say so, I am an Arsenal fan.
I know negative, you see, Arsenal has been having problems for James Matt. I'm very sure.
Having troubles.
Problems and troubles.
What troubles, my friend? It's getting to Wembley at trouble.
Sophia, you're a Man United fan.
Manu.
Oh, yes, what's happening?
Yes.
What's happening?
Man U,
So, wait, what fan now? Which team do you support?
Arsenal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You're on the right side of
I
history.
think Sophia,
No, you're not on the right side of history.
You're on the right side of history and the future as well.
Let me hand you over to James Matt and Sophia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much,
much.
Nicholas. We appreciate that interview.